Have you ever considered that the deepest wounds of heartbreak, the ones that feel as if they have shattered the very foundation of your world, could be the sacred ground from which an unshakable strength grows? What if the intense pain you feel is not a signal of your destruction, but a powerful, raw energy waiting to be consciously transformed? This is not a hopeful platitude. It is the secret of the resilient mind, an ancient truth that reveals the path from devastation to inner peace. We will walk that path together, exploring how to master your emotions and overcome the fear that holds you captive. Transform heartbreak into mental fortitude, compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. Embracing emotional pain. Imagine your heart as a forge, not of metal and fire, but of spirit and feeling, glowing with the fierce, white-hot energy of pain. Our first, most deeply ingrained instinct is to flee that heat, to douse the vibrant flames with the cold water of distraction or denial, to do anything but stand in the presence of such searing, transformative agony. This is the great inner conflict that defines the human response to loss, the desperate, primal urge to escape the very feeling that holds the key to our healing and rebirth. We are born into a world that relentlessly teaches us to seek comfort and avoid discomfort, creating a fragile peace that shatters upon contact with real life. This conditioning leaves us terrified and paralyzed when the profound pain of heartbreak arrives, as it inevitably does. We carry the mistaken belief that the pain will consume us, that its fire is a malevolent, destructive force meant only to annihilate our sense of self. This fear of our own suffering becomes a second invisible wound, often deeper and more insidious than the first. It traps us in a frantic cycle of avoidance and suppression, a shadow life where we are constantly running from ourselves, a state that prevents any true, authentic healing from ever beginning. But the transformative solution, whispered through the ages by the sages of old, lies in a courageous and counterintuitive act of reversal. To turn, to stand firm, and to face the fire willingly. The wisdom of the ancients teaches us not to run from pain, but to embrace it as a potent, sacred material, the very ore from which mental fortitude is smelted and a new self is forged. The core idea is that emotional pain, when met with conscious, non-judgmental awareness, is stripped of its tyranny. It is not a monster to be slain in a violent battle, but a messenger to be welcomed and heard. When you allow yourself to feel it fully, you begin the crucial process of separating the raw, physical sensation of the emotion from the suffocating narrative of suffering you have unconsciously built around it. The benefit of this courageous embrace is nothing short of profound. You discover, perhaps for the first time, that you are infinitely larger than your pain. You are not the fire, you are the forge itself, the unbreakable vessel capable of containing the heat and consciously using its awesome energy to reshape your very being into something stronger, more refined, and more resilient than you were before. To initiate this process, you must take the first, clear, actionable step: practice the art of intentional stillness. This is not about emptying your mind, but about allowing it to be as it is. Set aside 10 minutes each day, find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed, and simply sit with the emotion. Close your eyes and let it come. Do not analyze it, do not justify it, do not search for its cause, and above all, do not fight it. Observe it as you would observe a force of nature. Notice where it resides in your body: a hollowness in the chest, a tightness in the throat, a weight in the stomach. Breathe into that physical space, not to push the feeling away, but to create room for it. If your mind wanders, gently guide it back to the simple, brave act of feeling. By practicing this with gentle consistency, you will begin to notice a remarkable shift. The sharp, terrifying edges of the pain will begin to soften. Its chaotic, overwhelming energy will feel less threatening as it becomes more familiar. You are no longer its helpless victim, but its calm and steady witness. This is the dawning of true emotional freedom, the first light after a long and starless night. I urge you to begin this practice today, not as a chore, but as an act of profound self-compassion. Do not wait for the pain to subside on its own. View this initial embrace as the first deliberate step in a lifelong journey of inner cultivation, a continuous and unfolding process of turning toward your own experience with unwavering courage and grace. This profound acceptance forms the unshakable foundation of our work. But how do we build upon it? How do we cultivate a strength so deep that it remains steadfast even in the heart of the most violent storm? In our next lesson, we will journey deeper to understand the very nature of Stoic resilience. Before we continue on this path, take a moment to subscribe to the Stoic Power channel and comment below with one word that describes your current journey. Your engagement and shared experience are what help us grow this community of strong minds together. Lesson 2. Understanding Stoic resilience. Picture an ancient oak tree standing alone on a windswept hill, its gnarled roots anchored deep within the dark, unseen earth. Storms have lashed against its trunk for centuries. Winds have torn at its branches, yet it does not break. It bends, and in bending, it grows stronger. Its rings a testament to the tempests it has endured. We often face a debilitating inner conflict when we think of resilience, viewing it as a form of rigid, unfeeling toughness that we either possess as an inborn trait or we do not. We see our own emotional turmoil, our tears and our sorrow, as definitive proof of our weakness, a personal failure to be as unyielding and impassive as stone. This common and painful misconception stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of what it truly means to be strong. We mistakenly believe that resilience is the absence of pain, the miraculous ability to deflect any arrow of misfortune that life fires our way. Consequently, when we inevitably feel the piercing sting of heartbreak or failure, we condemn ourselves for not having a thick enough armor. This self-condemnation creates a vicious cycle of shame that erodes our spirit far more than the initial blow ever could. The transformative solution is to completely redefine resilience, not as impenetrable armor, but as a deep-rooted flexibility. Not as hardness, but as an inner pliability cultivated through wisdom, perspective, and practice. True Stoic resilience is the conscious and deliberate creation of an inner citadel, a fortress of the mind whose walls are not built of unfeeling stone, but of steadfast, rational thought and a deep connection to your inner self. The core principle, as taught by the great Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius, is that external events, no matter how objectively devastating, cannot harm your inner self, your core character, your faculty of choice, unless you grant them the permission to do so. The unshakable strength of the oak tree lies not in its stubborn resistance to the wind, but in its profound, invisible connection to the ground that nourishes it. Similarly, your resilience comes not from avoiding pain, but from being deeply anchored in the truth of what you can control: your judgments, your intentions, and your responses. The ultimate benefit of cultivating this inner citadel is that your sense of peace and self-worth becomes gloriously independent of life's unpredictable and often harsh weather. You learn to draw strength from within, becoming the primary source of your own stability, confidence, and tranquility. The actionable step to begin laying the foundations of this inner fortress is through deep, reflective journaling. Take time this week, not just once, but daily if you can, to write about a past challenge you have overcome. Do not focus on the pain of the event itself. Instead, become an archaeologist of your own strength. Excavate the experience for the ways you endured it. What inner resources did you call upon? Did you show a flicker of patience, a moment of courage, an ounce of compassion for yourself or others? Identify these small acts of virtue, even if you did not recognize them as such at the time. This practice is not about dwelling on past trauma, but about gathering irrefutable evidence of your own innate strength. As you consistently engage in this personal excavation, you will unearth a profound and empowering truth. You have always been resilient. The evidence of your strength is written in the pages of your own life, waiting to be acknowledged. This realization transforms you from someone who fears life's inevitable storms into someone who trusts deeply and implicitly in their ability to navigate them. Your confidence will begin to grow, rooted not in the fragile hope for a life without problems, but in the solid, lived certainty of your own capacity to endure and overcome. I encourage you to see this journaling not as a task, but as a sacred act of self-discovery. an ongoing dialogue with the strongest, wisest part of yourself. We have now seen that resilience is a flexible, internal strength. But how specifically do we guard the gates of this inner citadel? How do we gain active command over the emotional tides that threaten to flood our minds and breach our walls? In the next lesson, we will delve into the practical art of mastering control over our emotions. If you are finding value in this journey toward inner strength, please like this video to help it reach others who may need to hear this message, and consider suggesting a future topic you'd like to explore in the comments below. Lesson 3. Mastering control over emotions. Envision yourself as the captain of a great ship, your mind the vessel, and the vast, unpredictable ocean the world of your experience. A storm of powerful emotion arises, the dark clouds of grief, the sharp winds of anger, the towering waves of fear, and the tempest crashes against your hull, threatening to throw you off course, to splinter your masts, and to shatter your vessel against the jagged rocks of despair. The eternal inner conflict for every captain of the soul is the struggle between being tossed helplessly by these waves and seizing firm, unwavering control of the helm. We so often feel like powerless, terrified passengers on our own ship, believing that our emotional state is entirely dictated by the merciless weather of external events. This is a deeply relatable and painful problem. A harsh word from another, a fleeting memory of loss, or an uncertain future can trigger an internal storm that feels completely overwhelming, leaving us feeling adrift, exhausted, and utterly out of control. We mistakenly believe that mastering our emotions means somehow calming the entire ocean, an impossible and arrogant task that only leads to deeper frustration and despair. We fight the waves, we curse the storm, and we exhaust our precious energy in a futile battle against the fundamental nature of life itself. The truly transformative solution offered by the Stoic helmsman is to radically shift your focus. Turn your attention away from the uncontrollable weather and place it entirely on the one thing you command with absolute authority: the rudder of your own judgment. The core idea, a cornerstone of Stoic thought from philosophers like Epictetus, is the celebrated dichotomy of control. This principle asserts that we cannot command external events, the actions of others, the turns of fortune, the presence of loss, but we hold absolute godlike sovereignty over our interpretation of those events. It is not the wave that endangers the ship, it is the captain's failure to navigate it wisely. It is not the event itself, but our judgment about the event that causes our suffering. A judgment is the story we tell ourselves, the meaning we assign. She left me is an event. She left me, therefore I am unlovable and my life is over, is a judgment. And it is the judgment, not the event, that creates the agony. The benefit of internalizing this principle is the dawn of true emotional freedom and authentic self-possession. You cease to be a reactive victim of your circumstances and become the calm, deliberate architect of your inner world. Your peace of mind is no longer a fragile object to be shattered by the next passing storm, but a steadfast condition you actively cultivate and command, moment by moment. To begin applying this, you must practice a clear, actionable step, the sacred art of the pause. When you feel a powerful negative emotion begin to rise, do not react immediately. Instead, as if in slow motion, create a space between the trigger and your response. In that precious silent space, ask yourself two critical questions. What is the objective external event that just happened? And what judgment, story, or belief am I adding to this event that is causing this feeling? Consciously and deliberately separate the two. Acknowledge the external reality, then challenge your internal story. Choose a more rational, more virtuous, more helpful response, even if it's just to say, "This is painful, but it is just an impression, and I have the strength to endure it." By consistently practicing this sacred pause, you will begin to methodically sever the chains of automatic, conditioned emotional reaction. You will discover that you have a choice in how you feel, a divine power you never realized you possessed. This does not mean you will become an unfeeling robot or that you will never feel pain, sadness, or anger again. It means those emotions will no longer have the power to hijack your mind, dictate your actions, and shipwreck your life. You will become the calm captain who can navigate any sea, no matter how turbulent, with grace and purpose. I urge you to begin this practice immediately, with the smallest of daily frustrations: a traffic jam, a misplaced item, a rude comment. View each emotional trigger not as an annoyance, but as a welcome opportunity to train your skill as the captain of your soul. A continuous process of growth toward self-mastery. We are learning to steer our ship with a steady hand. But what if the storm is not a passing squall, but a long, dark season of inescapable suffering? How can we possibly shift our perspective on hardship itself when it feels relentless? In our next profound lesson, we will explore the alchemy of finding meaning and opportunity in suffering. Before moving on, if you know someone who is struggling to navigate their own emotional storms, please consider sharing this video with them. Spreading this timeless wisdom is a powerful way to support the Stoic Power community. Lesson 4. Shifting perspectives on suffering. Imagine an ancient alchemist in a dimly lit workshop. This alchemist is not surrounded by bubbling potions and arcane charts, but by the raw, heavy, and often ugly materials of human suffering. The lead of loss, the mercury of failure, the salt of bitter disappointment. The alchemist's great work, the inner conflict that drives their quest, is to look upon this leaden despair not as worthless dross to be discarded, but as the indispensable base material for spiritual gold. As human beings, we are deeply conditioned to view suffering as an unmitigated evil, a cosmic error, a glitch in the fabric of a life that was supposed to be happy and smooth. This is a universal and deeply ingrained pain point. When heartbreak or profound hardship befalls us, our immediate anguished question is, why me? We see our suffering as a meaningless punishment, a brutal and unfair interruption to the life we had planned and felt we deserved. This perspective, however understandable, traps us in a psychological prison of victimhood and resentment, blinding us to any possibility of purpose or potential for growth within the experience itself. We become fixated on the perceived injustice of it all, a focus that only deepens the wound, nourishes our bitterness, and prolongs the agony indefinitely. The transformative solution is to adopt the radical mindset of the alchemist, to embrace the profound Stoic concept of amor fati, a love of one's fate. This is not a passive, grudging acceptance of what is. It is an active, joyful, and unconditional embrace of everything that happens, both good and bad, as if you had chosen it yourself. The core principle here is one of the most powerful and liberating in all of human philosophy. The obstacle is the way. The suffering you are experiencing, the very thing you are fighting against, is not an impediment to your life's path. It is the path. The Stoics believed in a rational, ordered universe, a logos, in which everything happens for a reason as part of a vast, interconnected web of cause and effect. From this viewpoint, your specific hardship is the curriculum your soul requires for its own evolution and strengthening. The benefit of this radical shift in perspective is that it drains the poison of resentment from your wounds and infuses your experience with a profound and unshakable sense of purpose. Nothing is wasted. Every tear, every struggle, every sleepless night becomes an integral part of your story of growth. You are no longer a helpless victim of a cruel, random fate, but an active and willing participant in a meaningful cosmic drama. The actionable step to begin this alchemical process in your own life is to practice active, intentional reframing. Take a piece of paper and write down the specific suffering you are facing in clear terms. On the other side, ask and answer the question, what virtues or strengths is this specific suffering giving me the opportunity to forge? Could this profound loneliness be an opportunity to cultivate radical self-reliance and inner friendship? Could this devastating failure be a chance to develop true humility and resilience? Could this unbearable loss be a crucible for forging profound empathy and compassion? Look at your hardship not as a punishment, but as a personalized training ground designed by the universe to sculpt a particular virtue in your soul. As you engage in this potent practice, your entire relationship with adversity will begin to change. You will start to look for the lesson within the loss, the opportunity within the obstacle, the hidden gift within the grief. This does not magically eliminate the pain, but it gives it a sacred and empowering meaning. You become a collaborator with your fate, using the very things that were meant to break you as the tools for your own becoming. This is the ultimate act of personal power. I challenge you to approach every difficulty you face this week, no matter how small, with the alchemist's curious and courageous eye. Ask, what is this here to teach me? And see this as a continuous process of finding the spiritual gold within the lead of everyday life. Now that we have found a way to transmute suffering into meaning, how do we use that meaning to piece ourselves back together, to rebuild a confidence that is not just repaired, but is even stronger and more beautiful than before? In the following lesson, we will focus on the delicate and powerful art of rebuilding strength and unshakable confidence. Please take a moment to comment below on what virtue your current challenge might be teaching you. Your shared wisdom inspires us all and strengthens our collective resolve. Lesson 5. Rebuilding Confidence and Strength. Consider the exquisite Japanese art of Kintsugi, where broken pottery is not discarded, but is painstakingly repaired with a lacquer mixed with shimmering powdered gold. The philosophy behind this art is that the object is not hidden or disguised. Its cracks are highlighted and celebrated as an integral part of its unique history, making it more beautiful, more interesting, and more valuable than it was before it was ever broken. After the emotional earthquake of heartbreak, we face the devastating inner conflict of our shattered self-worth. We look at our own broken pieces, our insecurities, our fears, our sorrow, with deep shame, believing that we are permanently damaged and fundamentally less valuable as human beings. A common and profoundly painful problem is that our confidence was, without us even realizing it, built on a fragile and external foundation. The validation of another person, the success and status of a relationship, or a specific, rigid vision of the future. When that external foundation is violently ripped away, our entire sense of self collapses with it. We are left feeling worthless, unlovable, and adrift in a sea of insecurity, convinced that our cracks are ugly scars that must be hidden from the world at all costs. In our desperation, we then seek a new external source, a new person, a new accomplishment, to piece us back together, perpetuating the very cycle of fragility that led to our collapse in the first place. The transformative solution is to become your own Kintsugi artist, to take up the tools of self-respect and rebuild your confidence, not by hiding the cracks, but by lovingly filling them with the pure gold of internal virtue. The core idea is that true, lasting, unshakable confidence cannot be externally derived. It must be internally generated. It is not a feeling of superiority or arrogance. It is the quiet, steadfast, and deeply humble trust in your own character and in your ability to live in accordance with your chosen values, regardless of external outcomes or the opinions of others. The benefit of this inside-out approach is immense. You build a form of confidence that is anti-fragile. It is not dependent on praise, status, success, or relationships. It is a deep inner knowing that you are a person of integrity and worth. A confidence that cannot be taken from you because it was never given to you by another in the first place. Your past wounds and heartbreaks cease to be sources of shame and instead become golden seams that testify to your resilience and your history of overcoming. The actionable step for this sacred reconstruction is to focus on small, consistent, daily acts of virtue. Your task is not to magically feel confident, but to act in a way that earns your own respect little by little. Each morning, set one small, achievable intention aligned with a virtue you wish to cultivate. For example, today, I will practice patience in a moment of frustration. Today, I will speak with complete honesty even when it's difficult. Or today, I will complete a task I have been avoiding. At the end of the day, take a moment to acknowledge that you kept this promise to yourself. Each promise kept, no matter how small, is another hairline crack lovingly filled with gold. As you accumulate these small, private victories of character, you will notice your confidence rebuilding on a new, unshakable foundation. You will start to trust yourself again, not because the world tells you that you are worthy, but because your actions have demonstrated your worthiness to your most important judge, yourself. Your self-worth will no longer be a fleeting reflection in someone else's eyes, but a quiet, steady fire burning within your own soul. You will learn to love and admire the person you are becoming, not in spite of the cracks, but because of the golden strength and wisdom you used to mend them. I urge you to begin this process today. Let go of the need for grand gestures of self-improvement and focus on the profound power of small, consistent, virtuous actions. This is a continuous practice of becoming someone you deeply respect. We are carefully mending our confidence, but how do we quiet the chaotic noise of obsessive thoughts and anxieties that so often accompanies heartbreak? Our next lesson will guide us in the essential practice of developing unshakable mental clarity. Before we proceed, help our channel grow and reach more people on this path by subscribing to Stoic Power. It is a simple, free act that supports our mission to share this timeless, life-changing wisdom. Lesson 6. Developing unshakable mental clarity. Imagine a deep mountain lake at dawn, so perfectly still and silent that its surface becomes a flawless mirror, reflecting the vastness of the sky, the mountains, and the trees with perfect, undistorted fidelity. This is the nature of a clear and tranquil mind. Yet, after the emotional earthquake of heartbreak, our inner world is often like that same lake whipped into a frenzy by a violent, relentless storm. Its waters become murky, turbulent, and opaque, reflecting nothing but their own chaos and confusion. The inner conflict we face in this state is the exhausting battle against the relentless churn of obsessive thoughts, the ghosts of replayed memories, and the armies of anxious what-ifs that besiege our mental vision. This is a universal and profoundly draining problem. We become trapped in a thick, suffocating mental fog, our thoughts running in frantic, repetitive, and painful loops. We lose the ability to focus, to be present in our own lives, and to see our situation with any semblance of objectivity or hope. This ceaseless mental noise is not just distracting, it is debilitating, sapping our precious energy and making it impossible for genuine healing to take place. In our desperation, we try to fight the thoughts, to forcibly eject them from our minds, but this very struggle only churns the waters further, making the turbidity even worse and deepening our sense of being out of control. The transformative solution is not to fight the storm, but to cultivate an inner stillness that allows the sediment of turmoil to settle on its own, naturally restoring the inherent clarity of the mind. The core principle behind this practice is the profound realization that you are not your thoughts. You are the silent, spacious awareness that observes your thoughts. By creating a space of quiet, non-judgmental observation, you learn to detach from the chaotic mental activity. You can watch your thoughts and feelings arise, crest, and pass away like waves on the surface of the ocean without getting swept away by them. The benefit is a profound and restorative sense of peace and control. When the waters of the mind are still, you can see situations for what they truly are, stripped of the emotional distortions of fear, anger, and despair. You regain your ability to make wise, rational decisions, and you reconnect with the quiet, intuitive wisdom that always resides beneath the surface noise of the agitated mind. A powerful, actionable step to cultivate this deep clarity is the Stoic meditation known as the view from above. Each day, find a quiet place where you can sit undisturbed for 10 minutes. Close your eyes. Begin to imagine that you are floating gently up, out of your body, looking down on yourself in the room. Continue to float higher, seeing your house, then your neighborhood, your city. Ascend further still, until you can see your country as a patch on the globe, the continents, and finally the entire Earth as a small, beautiful blue marble suspended in the vast, silent, star-dusted darkness of space. From this cosmic impartial perspective, look back at your problems, your heartbreak, your worries. See how small they appear against the immense, that silent backdrop of time and space. Hold this perspective, breathe in the stillness of the cosmos, and feel the weight of your burdens lighten. Practicing this meditation regularly, even when you don't feel like it, will dramatically shift your perspective on your life. The problems that seemed all-consuming and monolithic will shrink to their true, manageable size. you will begin to cultivate a state of inner stillness and spaciousness that you can carry with you throughout your day. Your mind will, over time, become that clear mountain lake, reflecting reality with serene, balanced, and unshakable clarity. I encourage you to make this view from above a daily ritual, a continuous practice of rising above the chaos to find your calm, wise center. We have now learned to find peace and clarity in the midst of turmoil. But how do we move from this calm, defensive posture to an offensive one, actively using life's challenges to propel our growth forward and become even stronger than before? In our final lesson, we will learn how to use adversity as the very fuel for our personal evolution. If these lessons resonate with you, please consider leaving a comment with your personal opinion or experiences. Your stories create a powerful tapestry of shared growth and encouragement for our entire community. Lesson 7. Using adversity as fuel for growth. Let us conclude our journey with the powerful image of a quiet, disciplined fire burning steadily within a stone hearth. This fire represents your soul, your inner will, your core of being. Some fires are fragile, extinguished by the first unexpected log that is thrown upon them. Others are so weak and timid they can only consume the smallest, driest twigs. But a well-tended fire, a fire cultivated with purpose and intention, possesses a remarkable, almost magical power. Whatever is thrown into it, heavy logs, damp wood, unwanted scraps, the refuse of life, it seizes, it consumes, and it transforms into more heat, more light, more of itself. The final inner conflict we face on the path from heartbreak to fortitude is the crucial shift from a mindset of mere survival to one of active, vigorous growth. For a long time, we may have focused, quite necessarily, on simply enduring hardship, on weathering the storm and not being completely destroyed. The problem with this, however, is that a purely defensive posture, while essential for a time, can lead to a life of stagnation and fear. We become so focused on not being broken that we forget we have the innate capacity to become stronger. We treat adversity as something to be gotten through, a dark period of life to be written off and forgotten, rather than as an active and essential ingredient for our development. We survive, but we do not truly thrive. The transformative solution is to fully embody the Stoic principle that adversity is fuel. It is to learn how to tend to your inner fire so that every challenge, every setback, every disappointment, and every piece of heartbreak becomes direct nourishment for your growth. The core idea is to become anti-fragile, a state beyond mere resilience, where shocks, volatility, and stressors actually make you stronger, more creative, and more capable. The resilient object withstands a shock and stays the same. The anti-fragile object is hit by a shock and improves. The benefit of this advanced mindset is that you cease to fear the unpredictable and often harsh nature of life. You come to welcome challenges, not because you are a masochist who enjoys pain, but because you recognize them as indispensable opportunities to increase your strength, expand your wisdom, and deepen your character. You learn to move through life with a quiet, powerful confidence, knowing that whatever happens, you will not only handle it, but you will be better for it. The final actionable step on our journey is to consciously adopt a practice of intentional post-traumatic growth. After navigating any difficult experience, from a minor daily setback to a major life event, take the time to sit with your journal and thoughtfully answer 3 questions. First, what hidden strength or capacity did this experience reveal in me that I didn't know I had? Second, what important lesson did this teach me that I could not have learned in any easier way? And third, how can I now use this new strength or lesson to contribute more positively to my own life and the lives of those around me? This deliberate process shifts the focus from what you lost in the fire to what you gained from its heat. By making this a regular, non-negotiable practice, you will fundamentally rewire your entire relationship with hardship. You will become a person who actively seeks out appropriate challenges, who sees life not as a series of threats to be avoided, but as a grand and glorious training ground for the soul. Your inner fire will burn brighter, hotter, and more consistently, capable of transforming any obstacle into the very fuel for your journey towards self-actualization. This is the pinnacle of mental fortitude, not just to remain unshaken by the storms of life, but to become someone who is actively strengthened and refined by the very act of being shaken. I urge you to begin now. Look back at the heartbreak that started you on this path and courageously ask these 3 questions. See this not as an end to your healing, but as the beginning of a continuous process of lifelong alchemy, of turning all of life's varied experiences into fuel for the magnificent, unquenchable fire of your spirit. We have journeyed together from the raw and honest embrace of pain to the empowering, alchemical art of using all adversity as fuel. Through these 7 deep lessons, we have laid the philosophical and practical groundwork for transforming the devastation of heartbreak into a profound and unshakable mental fortitude, building an inner citadel that stands firm and serene in any of life's storms. Thank you for dedicating your time and attention to this journey of self-mastery and inner strength. If this video has served you on your path, please like this video, comment with your insights or questions, and subscribe to Stoic Power to continue cultivating your inner strength with our community.